Car crashes, hey, we know they happen, and sometimes they happen as a result of a DUI, driving under the influence. Well, that takes us to this week's case. Involves a real man by the name of Ken Jenkins. Ken lived in Florida, a 33-year-old man, and back in 2011, he was convicted of a DUI. Horrible case. Driving under the influence, he was going the wrong way on an expressway, slammed into another car filled with four people. Three people died in the crash that took place. When he was sentenced, he contended that this was a one-time thing, that he normally didn't drink, that this was one of those things that happened. He was extraordinarily apologetic and said, hey, please don't get carried away on the sentencing. Well, interestingly enough, one of the victim's relatives, who was very upset about this and the fact this guy was so dead drunk, he was over twice the legal limit, and then when he plowed into this car, killed three people, hired a detective, private detective, who went out, traced Ken Jenkins, and as he tracked him and traced him through his activities, he found him there at a bar playing beer pong. And this was several weeks after the accident took place, several weeks after he'd crashed into this car, killing three people. Well, the videotape showing him playing beer pong a couple of weeks after this horrific crash was shown to the judge, the judge who was responsible for the sentencing. And the judge, when he saw this, said, wait a second, my friend, obviously you haven't learned your lesson on this. Here you are out partying to excess several weeks after you were involved in this horrid DUI, and I, the judge said, am going to sentence you to 33 years in prison. 33 years in prison. It was thought to be the longest prison sentence for a first-time DUI in all of the history of Florida. Okay, well, fast forward, we got up to 2015, toward the end of 2015. Ken Jenkins, brought a claim contending that he had not have effective use of counsel, that his lawyers had screwed up during his defense, and that accordingly, as a result of the screw up by his lawyers, he wound up with this very large sentence of 33 years. Went before a judge again. There, the judge once again looked at the evidence, again looked at that video that showed him playing beer pong, and the judge once again came away saying, hey, no way are we going to reduce your sentence by virtue of the fact I've looked at the record and I find that you did get effective use of counsel, and that the reason you received such a very significant sentence of 33 years in prison for this first DUI is because of the fact you hadn't learned your lesson, my friend, and you're still out there partying several weeks after this horror accident took place. Okay, so what do we learn from this? We learn from this a couple of things. When it comes to criminal sentencing, the kind of activity that's engaged in by the person who is the convicted criminal will make a big difference to a judge when that judge is imposing a sentence. Second thing we learn here is that the victims can play a major role in what kind of sentence the criminal receives. Here we saw that a very concerned relative of a woman who was killed went out, hired a private detective at his own expense, and found evidence that showed this guy was not remorseful, was not changing his course of conduct, was still out in the world getting drunk, and who knows, possibly also engaged in other DUIs. With that evidence, the court said, hey, guess what? We're going to impose the maximum sentence. Okay, we bring you this case as we bring cases every week so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.